Okay, so good morning, Dr. Christopher Boey, and you are the chairman for the Soka Kindergarten Malaysia, and I'm sure you can share a fantastic and interesting experience with Italian educators and European educators. Thank you so much.
Morning, Emiliano, and thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy to have the chance to talk to you and to all my Italian and European friends. Ciao, hello.
Thank you so much. So, first of all, I was really curious in reading your academic background because you have a PhD in medicine and education. How medicine and education connects in your academic path, and then how that is related to the work you're doing at Soka Kindergarten Malaysia?
I've always wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
At the same time, I wanted to help people to become healthy. So I've chosen both the paths of medicine and education.
Okay.
I feel that both have got an important link because both education and medicine, in its essence, strive to tap the inner potential of the human being. So in the form of education, we would like to tap the inner potential of the human being to the full.
Sure.
And also in medicine, we would also like to tap the inner healing potential of the human being to be able to overcome illnesses. So you can see that at that very fundamental point, both education, both education and medicine are connected.
This is very interesting. So that means that on a fundamental level, education, Soka education or humanistic education in general, in a way works as a way to encourage young students, and then now we're getting into straight to the point of Soka Kindergarten Malaysia because we are very curious to know what happens there. But medicine and education as a way, let's say, of caring about humanity, right?
Yes.
And just one question, and then again we're going to talk about Soka Kindergarten Malaysia. What is Soka education? To you, of course, based on your experience, both as Soka Kindergarten Malaysia and in your academic research and as an educator.
My understanding of Soka education comes from what I've learned from the three founders of Soka education, Mr. Makiguchi, Mr. Toda, and Mr. Ikeda. And from the three teachers, I found that Soka education really means to enable a child to become absolutely happy. And for the child to be absolutely happy, the child should be able to tap and reveal his own potential, his or her potential to the full, in spite of any difficulties or obstacles that may arise. In others, it is the spirit to never be defeated and to enable life to develop to the full in the spite of all difficulties, and in doing so, become absolutely happy. To me, I think that's what Soka education is.
Okay, and let's say three main characteristics of what is Soka education to you. If you are asked to kind of try to describe Soka education in 3 words.
I see. Okay, I'll do my best. It's not easy to do that. But I think following on from what I've said, the first point being Soka education aims to tap the unlimited potential within a child or a person. The second point must be that the educator needs to believe in that potential. So it's not just a matter of tapping. In order to tap it, the important essence of Soka education is that the educator needs to really sincerely, honestly, and really sincerely believe that that potential exists. Because unless the Soka educator believes that that potential exists, he or she will not be able to help the child develop that potential. So I think that that is the second point with regards to Soka education. And I think the third point, which you asked me for 3 points, is a deep bond with mentor, the mentor-disciple spirit. So when there is a firm bond with a teacher, then life develops to the full.
Do you believe that the relationship teacher and student is one-way or two-way relationship? Meaning that the student gives to his or her teacher and the teacher gives to his or her students. What do you think about it?
Absolutely 2 ways.
2 ways.
It is not the traditional form in which the teacher teaches and the student is a passive receiver. It's an absolute partnership. It's a dynamic communication. And in that communication, not only does the student gain and develop, but in the process of doing that, the teacher gains tremendously. So the teacher's life continues to develop and grow. In fact, it is when the teacher's life continues to grow that the teacher can most effectively help the student to grow.
That's right. Great. Thank you so much. This is very interesting. And let's talk about Soka Kindergarten Malaysia, because I'm sure that Italian educators and European educators in general are very happy to hear about your experience. First of all, you were telling me just before we started this interview that you have more than 400 students to date.
Yes. The current enrollment this year is more than 400 students.
It's amazing.
But since the kindergarten was formed until today, we have over 3,000 graduates.
This is incredible. Okay, and so tell us a little bit about this experience. I'm particularly interested in the process of foundation. What kind of challenges, what kind of efforts, because I'm sure you did a lot of efforts together with your team in order to establish Soka Kindergarten Malaysia. If you recall, like, let's say that I'm asking you to recall your memory at that time when you were in the process of supporting the establishment of Soka Kindergarten Malaysia. What kind of memories you feel you want to share with Italian educators?
Yes. In the early days, the kindergarten was formed based on a sincere determination to put into practice the principles of Soka education, which I mentioned to you earlier. And of course, we really started from nothing, from zero.
From zero, right?
We had to build the building, we had to get the teachers.
Yes.
In fact, the first school class started on the 1st of December 1994. And at that time, there was no building. The students had to use a building next door in the center.
Sure.
And it was not only until roughly half a year later we had the building that the children can move into the proper building.
I see. So let's say that in 1994 you had a building that you used in order to welcome the students. It was a kind of process of transition.
It's a temporary building.
Temporary building, okay.
But the education started, the teaching started, the interaction started. But we still did not have a building until about half a year later.
Okay, that's great. And at that time, I guess you had a group of teachers that were teaching, and how did you, let's say, choose that teachers? How that happened that you had that group of teachers teaching in that context? Because it was a quite new context, it was the very beginning.
So the first few teachers were really very sincere volunteers, and they were people who come from all kinds of teaching backgrounds, with a heart to try to be involved in Soka education. And to them, it was also very much a learning process. It was the passion and sincerity of wanting to form the kindergarten that brought them all together.
Sure.
It was a difficult time. I was in the board of directors as one of the members at that time, and at that time as a medical doctor, I tried to support by giving medical health checks to the children.
Fantastic.
And we all chipped in different ways, whatever our own specialties were. So if the teachers had some skill in reading, they'll do their best in helping with that, and some people would help with the gardening, would help with the cooking.
That's great.
So whatever we had, we were not experts, but we had the heart to do our best to try to build the kindergarten.
I see. So let's say you use your skills at your best in order to support the students at the very beginning. So there was not a real, like, let's say, a proper organization, just giving your...
that organization gradually
formed
over the years.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, and then gradually you started to kind of, I guess, organize a little bit more your daily activities and classes and so on. At some point, I guess you had a proper structure. How that works, how the students and teachers interact in terms of, and here I'm a little bit moving the focus on how you apply humanistic education, Soka education into your Soka Kindergarten Malaysia. So at the very beginning, Of course, you did your best to, let's say, build a foundation, and then at some point you started to have a proper structure. I would like you, if possible, to share with the Italian educators how that momentum happens.
Yes, I think there was not a single point in time, but it was a continuous process. And I would actually like to take this opportunity to really thank the teachers and the principals of Soka Kindergarten, because they had because they had really worked very hard, using very little resources to try to build the tradition of teaching. And the way they tried to apply was actually to read the educational teachings of Mr. Makiguchi, Mr. Toda, and Mr. Ikeda, and try in their daily life to put it into practice themselves. And in doing that, serve as a kind of a role model for the children, because the teachers feel very strongly that the way to teach is to lead by example. So, for example, if they wanted to teach the children to be respectful of each other, to greet each other, the teachers will challenge to do the same themselves. So that's how they try, step by step, to apply Soka education into what they do every day, and to impart those principles to the children.
How many teachers do you have at Soka Kindergarten Malaysia?
We've got about 35 teachers.
35 teachers. And in total, you say 420 students at
about
this
400
stage?
students, yes.
About 400. Great. That's great. So, let's talk a little bit about subject matter. So, you were mentioning that before this interview that the children have the opportunity to experience a variety of subjects and activities, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
Could you share a little bit about
You mean the kind of activities?
Yeah, activities and how they learn, how is the learning process, and it's particularly interesting because you have a great experience in the field to understand how Soka education fits into the actual daily teaching.
Sure. I think first in terms of the language, because Malaysia is a multicultural, multiracial country, the language that's being taught in the kindergarten has to be something that covers all the different possibilities. So in fact, English, Malay,
first language English,
and Chinese. All three of them are being used. English, Malay language, and the Chinese language. So using that language, they would study all kinds of subjects, and in many of the situations, they study by doing things, by playing, by study science by playing. They've got cooking classes where they cook together with their teachers to try to make all kinds of simple food, and they learn in the process of doing that. They've got gardening classes where they actually go out and try to plant things together, learn about nature, learn about plants.
Incredible.
So it's very much trying to learn as they do. And as I said earlier, an underlying principle is that the teachers will try to put into practice themselves what they feel is important. For example, respecting each other, greeting each other, so that the children can actually learn by observing their teachers as a model.
Interesting. Let me come back 1 second on languages. So you say Chinese, Malay,
and English.
And English. Three languages all together.
Yes.
That basically the children grow up with trilingual.
Yes.
Incredible. Okay. And from what age to what age? So you say kindergarten in Malaysia goes from?
Kindergarten in Malaysia goes on from age 4 to 6 years old.
6 years old.
And then they proceed to primary school at the age of 7.
Okay, so they proceed to primary school basically by speaking 3 languages.
Yes, that's right.
Wow, that's a big advantage for their future academic path. And how is the experience when they go to primary school, like after they attend Soka Kindergarten in Malaysia? They have good results, they, let's say, do well, or they have challenges? How usually, based on previous experiences, they perform in...
The results, having gone through the kindergarten, is not something that's seen in a year or two. So what I'm trying to say is that they don't immediately show in terms of excellent results in the first few years, but you see them grow and mature as great human beings over many years. So now, as I said, it's the 20th anniversary. We've got students who've graduated 20 years ago who've actually been able to show great maturity as human beings. We've actually gone through the difficulties in life and have actually now entered the various areas in society, such as medical doctors, teachers, engineers, and they have done very well in society. Fantastic. Some of them have even gone to Soka University of America and Soka University of Japan. So I think the result of the Soka education in kindergarten is not something seen so simply in the first few years in terms of exam results in the first 6 months, 6 years in primary school. It has to be seen in the long term, in how their lives have matured and developed over the years.
Great. So, you have a fantastic motto. Could you share the motto of Soka Kindergarten Malaysia with the Italian educators?
We are deeply moved because the motto of the Soka Kindergarten throughout the world, which the founder, Mr. Ikeda, gave to all the kindergartens, is strong, righteous, and lively. And this is the motto that's being instilled in the children at any opportunity. In addition to that, we are deeply grateful that when the founder, Mr. Ikeda, visited Soka Kindergarten Malaysia in December year 2000, he actually gave 3 further important guiding principles. And that principle is something that is engraved not only in the children's hearts, but also in the teachers' hearts and also in members of the board of directors. Those 3 principles are friendship, courage, and hope. So encouraging us to actually make friendship first, to make friends, deep, true friends. And through deep friendship, we are able to develop the courage to face all the problems in life together. And because of this, there's always hope. There's always hope in life. And so that's the basic principle and basic encouragement that the founder, Mr. Ikeda, has over the years been giving to the children. Never give up. There's always hope. And we have that hope with great courage. So we are very deeply grateful to the founder for those brilliant and moving, inspiring mottos.
Well, I make a promise. I will visit you at Soka Kindergarten Malaysia at some point.
We are waiting for you. We are waiting for you. And all of you too. All our friends in Italy and Europe. We look forward to seeing you too.
You are going to invite a lot of people. Be aware. Just to conclude, thank you so much. This is a really precious interview. Just to conclude, if you want to say hello to the Italian educators, European educators, but of course in Italy we don't have at the moment Soka education institutions, but we are working hard. What kind of encouragements would you like to share with Italian educators and European educators regarding how to, let's say, put efforts in one day to have a Soka institution, a fantastic Soka institution like Soka Kindergarten Malaysia that foster children life? And what kind of encouragement you want to share?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Once again, I want to say I'm so happy to be able to talk to all of you, my friends in Italy and Europe. I remember Mr. Ikeda, who's the founder of Soka Kindergarten,
Malaysia,
and also throughout the world, and Soka education system throughout the world, say that the most important thing in terms of achieving peace is not the discussion that takes place in conferences or big political meetings, but actually it is the interaction between young peoples of different countries. And who are the people who will encourage and teach these young peoples? Is educators like you and me. So in fact, interaction between young people as well as between educators are so crucial. And that's why we're so deeply moved that Mr. Ikeda gave us as the motto for kindergarten, friendship. And through that friendship, we develop the courage, and then there's always hope. So Emiliano was asking me to say some words. On the top of my head, I just would like to share how important and how happy it is that we've got this chance to build friendship.
Thank
And
you so much.
I think through this friendship, we'll be able to develop bonds that cross the entire world, that link the entire world, and that will be a very important force for peace in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Dr. Christopher Boey, thank you so much for taking time, and I'm sure the Italian educators will be very happy to watch this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you were saying that at Soka Kindergarten Malaysia, you are teaching in English?
English, Malay, and Chinese.
What is the importance, the relevance of foster education of children in 3 languages, in your opinion? And based also on graduates' experience, as you can see your students growing in this world, in this society, what is the advantage of having students learning 3 languages?
I think in our case, it was actually out of need. We had no choice to do it in 3 languages because we have got people from different ethnic groups, and that's the way the situation in Malaysia is. Malaysia is multi-ethnic, multiracial, with lots of different languages, and so the kindergarten actually had to teach,
to adapt in a way to the
teach in
needs
different languages. But this challenge actually has brought benefits because we had to challenge to teach in different languages, just as many of the other schools have to. We are able to learn the cultures and the feelings of the different ethnic groups and the different languages.
So it's not only teaching a language, it's also at the same time understanding cultures.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, that's very interesting. Yeah. So let's say 2 or 3 benefits in your opinion that the students get by learning, by basically trilingual, learning 3 languages. What kind of benefits?
I think they learn to be able to communicate with more people, and because you've got more language skills, you actually broaden the spectrum of people that you can directly talk to.
Sure.
And as I said, the other point would be to be able to, through the languages, to understand the cultures and the feelings of different peoples. A lot of these children actually enjoy the songs in different languages.
Okay.
And
so they like singing.
Yes, they enjoy the songs, and it's very moving to see them sing as well in different languages.
So you've been in Europe in the past, and as you know, in Europe we have a variety of languages and cultures. What kind of, let's say that we have students learning English, Italian, and German, or English, Italian, and French. How that would, based on your knowledge of the European background, how that would help them to move forward in the future career path or academic path?
I think Europe also has got that same beautiful opportunity because Europe is a melting pot of so many cultures and so many beautiful languages. I studied for many years in the United Kingdom, and I've spent some time in France and Germany as well, and I can actually feel the beauty that you all have in Europe, and the great potential that Europe has. And I think, although it's not easy, but of course there will be difficulties because of differences at first, but when those difficulties are overcome, you create a very beautiful, harmonious Europe.
So let's say that tomorrow we are going to move for just 1 week. The Soka Kindergarten Malaysia, let's say in the United Kingdom or Italy. Let's imagine that. What kind of languages, based on your experience, would you teach?
That's not
that's
an
quite
easy
complicated,
question, because there's so many languages in Europe.
But let's imagine that.
I think it will have to be the language of the actual place where that kindergarten is built. In other words, depending on whether that kindergarten starts in Europe, in Italy, or in France, or in the UK, the language of that locality must be an important one. It doesn't matter which one, because an important thing of a Soka education is the bond and the links of that kindergarten with the local people.
Sure.
So if that kindergarten was in Paris, for example, the children must have a deep bond with the surrounding
local community.
And so the language of French is important. In the same way, if the kindergarten was built in London, English, in Italy, Florence, or Rome, Milan, then Italian is important. So the importance of actually dealing with the reality of the neighborhood.
Sure.
Because one of the important things we want to teach the children is the importance of not forgetting that their lives are closely intertwined with the people
local
around
community.
them. So and in that respect, language is very important. So once they are able to appreciate, understand that, then it's important for them to go beyond that, to understand that there are peoples elsewhere too. And that will be the basis of wanting to learn many other languages.
Sure, incredible.
So I think that's the best way I can respond to your question.
So let's say the first language has to be the language of the local community, of the context.
Where the kindergarten is actually built.
Okay.
And then, of course, at the moment we don't know yet. We don't know. So it depends on where it is, that the language of that.
No, but this is definitely interesting, because it's an amazing experience what you're sharing. So primary language has to be strongly connected with the local community, because by saying that you're also sharing an important point of what is Soka education. So I think you answered is so precious. Fantastic. So thank you so much. To Dr. Christopher Boey.
Thank you so much, Emiliano.
That was so precious.